Okay, we're going to pick up exactly where we left off last time. We have our temple walls. I'm going to click the arrow tool and click off in space so my component is no longer selected. I'm going to draw a rectangle that covers the whole top of my temple, and I will make that rectangle a component, and I'll call it temple ceiling. Then I'll double click to open that component, click one more time to select it, and I'm going to pull it up about 3 feet. I'm going to orbit. Actually, I'm just going to hit front view. Now, I want to select this just so that you can see when you select the component, it selects the whole component like that. I'm going to orbit to the bottom. Actually, click off in space first so I deselect it. Orbit to the bottom. I'm going to draw another rectangle. Make this a component. Call it temple floor. Sorry. Double click to open it. Click one more time to select it. And I'm going to pull this down 10 feet. The same thickness as the walls. And I'll go to my front view. So I see, basically I have a very box-like temple at this point. The next thing that I want to do is to add a pediment area. I'm going to zoom in a little bit, move over, and I'm going to draw a triangle on the top. There are a few different ways of doing this, but I'm going to show you one simple way. I'm going to click at this corner, the end point, release my mouse button, but slowly move my mouse over till I get to the center point, which it will say midpoint in component. When I'm there, I'm going to press my mouse down and draw a line straight up. I'm going to take it up about 25 feet. So I will type in 25 apostrophe enter. Then I'm going to draw a line back down to the corner and another line from the center to this corner and over, and erase my line in the middle. I will make, no, I'm not going to make it a component yet. I'm going to orbit around, select, actually I will make it a component, change my mind. Select that triangle, make it a component, call it pediment. Double click to open it, click one more time to select it, use my push pull to pull it all the way back. Now, want to go to front view. I'm going to change some dimensions here because at the moment my pediment, my floor, and my ceiling all line up with the temple. I want to pull them all out an extra 20 feet. So I'm going to click on the floor, double click to open it, and pull that forward 20. Then I will click on the ceiling area, pull it forward 20, and click on my pediment area. And pull it forward 20. While I'm working on my pediment, I can get a little fancy here and give it some space for some sculpture. While the pediment area is open, I'm going to choose the offset tool, and I'm going to pull in this edge. I'm going to pull it in 2 feet, and then I'm going to select that edge again, or you can select the whole triangle and use the offset. Pull it in another 2 feet. And I'm going to do a little bit of digital sculpting here. I'll select this inner area. Sorry. And I'll push this area in. I'm going to push it in about 6 feet. That would give it plenty of room to put some sculpture in there. Push this other area in, maybe about 1 foot, just to give it a little dimensionality to this. Later on, we can add some more detail there. Click off in space. Almost ready. The last thing that I want to do is I want to add some columns to this. To do that, I have to open the column document that we created in another unit. So I'm going to hit pause while I open that document. Okay, I've opened my Doric column document. Now, a Doric column does not have any base. It does have a capital, a very simple capital, usually just a kind of funnel shape. So I'm going to select this. I'm going to say Edit Copy. And one of the neat things you can do with SketchUp is, even though this is in one document and I'm working in another, I can click on the new document and say Edit Paste. And there's my column. I'm going to zoom in, and I want to place my column in this front area. And I'm going to need to scale it a little bit because it's a little too short. Let me arrange my tools here. Let me go to a pure side view. While I have that column selected, this is the scale tool over here, sort of like a pizza box with an arrow in it. I'm going to zoom in close so that I can see when I touch the ceiling. I don't want to go through the ceiling, I just want to touch it. And I can zoom in very, very close to make sure that I am actually touching it and not just near it. And I am. Then I want to pan down to the bottom, make sure that I'm touching the floor. And I am not quite, so I need to use my scale tool. Make sure that it says uniform scale about opposite point. And bring this down so that it's touching the floor. Now I want to place these columns kind of specifically, so I'm going to orbit a little bit. And I'm going to make some measurements here on this front area. You can do it with a pencil tool, you can do it with the tape measure. I like to draw a box. So I'm going to start over here in the corner, draw a box along the surface, and I'm going to put the dimensions at 8 feet, comma, 4 feet. Then I'm going to take my column and I'm going to orbit to the side just a little bit because it's a little easier to move that way. Use my move tool to move my column forward until it's touching the corner of that box that I just created. Now I don't want it to be forward of the box, I just want it to touch that corner, like so. So it's just touching. Okay, once you have your column positioned, use your eraser tool to clean up that box. You don't need it anymore. And you would do the same thing on the opposite side so that you can position a second column. I'll pause this while I create the second column box position. Okay, I have my second box drawn. I'm going to use my arrow tool to click on my column, and I will press and hold my control key, move my column copy over so that it lines up with the corner there, and zoom in so that I can see my positioning. Because again, I just want to touch it. I don't want to go over the edge. Not quite there. Need to move it forward just a little bit. Okay. Now I have a simple temple design with 2 columns. If you wanted, you could give it 4 columns. I will do that really quickly just so you can see what that would look like. It's simply a matter of selecting the column, using the control move, and this time I'm going to tell it a precise distance. I want to make sure I'm moving along the red axis, and I'll tell it I want to move over 8 feet. And I'll select this other column, and again, control move. Make sure that I'm moving on the red axis, because that's the sideways direction, and 8 feet. You could adjust these however you like it. It is your temple that you're designing, but that gives you the basic, simple structure that we will use as our foundation. This concludes this tutorial.